every day he follows the same pattern. Now you like another dish. For example, you like vada pav in Goli vada pav. Why? Because there the chef follows a particular pattern. He follows particular ingredients in the particular amount. So it will be it tastes good daily. So now, if you want to try that dish at your home, what you'll do? You'll approach. For instance, consider you will approach the chef. You approach the chef. You take that pattern from the chef that is already predefined by the chef. No need to. You don't need to newly make the ingredients. It is already predefined by the chef. So you borrow the pattern and you will try that. Obviously, in home also you will get the same taste. So, in the object-oriented programming, in the same way, there will be for different problems, there will be a different patterns that is known as design pattern. So, for different dishes, there will be different ingredients, different patterns. In the same way, even in object-oriented programming language, for different problems, there will be different patterns. So let us know the classification of that pattern. So in design pattern, it is mainly classified based on the purpose and scope. Purpose says the purpose and scope says the scope. In purpose, for example, there will be class. For acquiring all the properties of the class or to use the attributes of the class, what you need to do? You need to create an object. So the creation of the object is dealt with the creation part, and the composition of the objects and classes will be dealt in structural part, and the relationship or the interaction between objects and classes will be dealt in the behavioral part. In scope-based design pattern classification, there will be two types, that is class patterns and object patterns. In class patterns, it deals with the interaction between classes and the subclasses. In object pattern, it deals with the relationship between the different objects, which is dynamic in nature. That has been shown in the tabular format. In this module, we mainly concentrate on this structural pattern classification. So, in structural pattern, there will be ABC, many types of pattern. So, in module 2, we will look after all the patterns in detail. So at first, let us know what exactly the structural pattern is. So as I said before, the classes and the objects composition is dealt with the structural pattern. Why? To form the larger structures. Why larger structures are required? Because in computer, in any operating system, to run a particular software very smoothly, there will be many class libraries like utilities, framework, functions, operations. So to run a particular software, all these class libraries should run in a coordinated way. Means it should be synchronized to one another. If it is synchronized, one particular software will run very smoothly. So to run that software very smoothly, we form larger structures. So how do we form the larger structures? With the help of structural pattern, and it uses inheritance concept. As you all know that there are many types of inheritance. Structural pattern utilizes all these types of inheritance based on the situation of the problem, and it draws the structures. And in objects, there are two types, that is primitive object and composite object. In primitive object means it does not have a particular memory address, but in composite object is a combination of the objects. So these two objects will reside in a class, and the hierarchy of that class is given by structural object pattern. So this pattern comes under the structural pattern itself. It is not a particular type, but it is simple. It is a type in the structural pattern. And this objects, sharing of these objects is defined by the flywheel pattern. So why this sharing of the objects is needed? Because one object performs one particular option, and if another object also performs the same operation, then I don't need to write whole the code. We can just share the objects. So for sharing that object, we should write some hierarchy or structure. So that will be given by flywheel pattern, and it mainly concentrates on efficiency and consistency. And in flywheel pattern, it mainly concentrates on space efficiency. So this is about the structural patterns. Now one by one, let us know the types of the pattern. In VTU, they will ask to write a particular type of the pattern. If they ask, you need to write all of this bold black headings. The left part will be same, but right part will be changed according to the type of the pattern. So first we'll discuss pattern name, which says the name of the pattern. Intent means what design we have used. Also another name of the pattern, and motivation and applicability, where it is used, and structure and participants, that is class and objects. And collaborations means how class and objects are collaborated, and consequences and how it is implemented, and sample code, and known users and related patterns. So all these bold headings will discuss that in detail for every pattern. So let us first get into the first pattern, that is adapter pattern. This comes under the structural pattern. So this is the first type of the pattern. The name itself says adapter, means in real life when will we use adapter? When we face compatibility issue, we use adapter. So the intent of this is convert the interface of a class into another interface, and adapter lets classes work together that could not otherwise because of incompatible interfaces. So when one interface is not compatible with another, we go for adapter pattern. So consider you have 3-pin laptop charger, 3-plug laptop charger. Now you have to charge your laptop. Unfortunately, the switch socket is 2-pin. What will you do? You need to charge the laptop. You will take the adapter. You plug the adapter to the 2-pin socket, and you will later plug your charger to the adapter. Then you will charge your laptop. This is how adapter works in real life. Here also, when one interface is not compatible with the another interface, but you need to join that, you will go for the adapter. And it is also known as wrapper, and the motivation is sometimes a toolkit class which is designed for reuse is not reusable only because its interface does not match the domain specific interface. So toolkit class means in one interface screen, I need submit button in center of the screen. Now what I have to define? I have to define the height, width, and the screen resolution, size, and size of the submit button, or its length, color, etc. So that all attributes will contain in the toolkit class. Now I need to define another interface which consists of restart button. Even the restart button should be in the middle of the screen. So do I need to define all the attributes again? No need. I can easily implement the toolkit class to that restart button also. So, but unfortunately, it is not compatible because one interface attribute is not compatible with the another interface. So now I use adapter class and I implement that. Usually in motivation, you need to write one example, problem faced in that example, and the solution for that. So they have already defined one example, that is consider for example a drawing editor that lets user draw and arrange graphical elements into pictures and diagrams. So the main problem is there are some graphical elements like lines, polygons, text, and etc. So these polygons, lines should be formed in such a way that it should look like a diagram or a picture. So that all will be contained in the abstract class, that is shape. Now, we can easily arrange the polygons or lines into shape. Means I will put one triangle here, one triangle here, one rectangle here. I have formed the one picture easily. But when we consider the text, means by taking the text to form the pictures or diagrams, it is not possible. Means I don't know how many words will be there. What is the length? What is its size and all will not be knowing. So that is the problem. But no need to worry. In adapter pattern, there is a subclass called as text shape subclass, which will edit and format. So it is the example. You should give the example. You should say what the problem you face, and finally the solution based on that particular pattern. So you need to mention all this in the motivation part. And the next one is applicability. Means application, where the adapter pattern will be applied. So all we have discussed already. That is when you want to use an existing class and its interface which does not match the one which is needed, and that is interface incompatibility issue. And when we want to create a reusable class that operates with an unrelated class, that is classes that don't necessarily have compatible interfaces, means the class incompatibility issue. And when we need to use several existing subclasses, but it's unpractical to adopt their interface by subclassing everyone. Means the main focus of adapter pattern is incompatibility. When incompatibility occurs, you need to follow adapter pattern. This is the main motivation, but you need to write in a different way. Means by giving example of interface incompatibility, class incompatibility, subclass incompatibility. And structure of the adapter pattern, that is client requests the target for particular requirement, but unfortunately it is not compatible, so it implements the adapter, and adapter implements the adaptive for that request, and finally it connects to the required desired result, and it works fine. Even in the object adapter also it's same thing is there, but adapter does not implements it directly acquires the adapter. So if we consider the laptop charger example, the client requests for charging by his 3-pin charger, but it is incompatible. He goes for adapter, and with the help of adapter he pins the charger for the adaptive, and finally the adapter is plugged to the two pin switch, and now incompatibility issue is solved and he can charge the adapter. So in here in adapter pattern we have discussed pattern name, intention of the pattern, and its another name, and motivation, applicability, structure. I hope you all understood. From participants, Aishwarya will continue. Thank you for this.